It's Wednesday, February 1st, and welcome back to Everyday Talk 24/7. It's really great to have you. I'm going to continue talking about this idea of stepping stones and turning life's challenges into stepping stones instead of things that make us stumble. Just a quick reminder, we have Q&A Friday coming up just in 2 days. Got some really good questions coming in this time, so excited to be able to do that with you. Still got time, so feel free to send in some questions, either on the YouTube comment or go to our website, everydaytalk247.com, and leave it there. Leave a question there. Yesterday I talked about changing stumbling stones into stepping stones, because we have this encouragement from Psalm 121 that God is with us. He never leaves us or forsakes us. He's always right there. His eye is always on us. That leads us to another area of life. The Israelites were going up to Jerusalem to worship. They did this 3 times a year. Well, now, for us, the temple of God is here. We see in Revelation 1 and in 1 Corinthians 6 that we are the temple. And so worship is a daily activity for us. And perhaps no passage just so adequately and beautifully describes that as Romans 12:1. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, and the mercy is what he's been talking about in the first 11 chapters of Romans. This is typical of Paul's writings. Say in Ephesians and in Romans, you've got this long section of doctrine and encouragement and the solid foundation for our faith. And then the second portion of the book tells us what to do about it. And that's certainly the case here in Romans. First 11 chapters give us a solid foundation, and then verses of chapters 12 through 16 tell us exactly how we can apply these things. So Paul says, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. Now you see, you only sacrifice in worship. So offering our bodies as a daily living sacrifice is an act of daily worship. And then Paul goes on to say, this is your true and proper worship. So this translation says, this is one of those passages which is translated differently in different translations of the Bible. So some of you will have this, some of you will have this be your reasonable service, some will see this as your true worship. It's very interesting whenever we have that, a phrase being translated differently. That means there's something very rich in the Greek text. And that's what's happening here. So the idea for true and proper worship, and what the Greek is bringing about, something that is intelligent and consecrated devotion to the service of God every day. It's not just for Sundays. It's not just when you have a special prayer service. It's about living for the honor and glory of God every moment of every day. So that's life as worship. The reason I chose Everyday Talk 24/7 is because that reflects the power of this passage. Every moment of every day, all of our conversation, our actions are actions of worship. See, we're not talking about something that's stiff. We're talking about or reserved or a special mood or activity. We're talking about a life given over to God, our bodies as living sacrifices day in and day out. So our circumstances in life are either a stepping stone or a stumbling block is very much connected to worship. Life really is worship. And you see, our conception of worship kind of clouds us here. Because if our worship is too tightly connected to our perception of our circumstances, then it's going to lead us to an up and down type of life. It's going to move us around. The noise you might hear is Echo's running around tonight. I don't know if you'll see it or not, but that little noise you might hear, that's Echo, my cat. Anyway, this if worship is connected to how I think I'm doing, to my circumstances, then my life is going to be up and down. But if I can see life as an opportunity for worship, then those things that could have been stumbling blocks are now stepping stones to a life of joy and peace and security. Life is worship. If we're going to be dominated by worship instead of being dominated by worry, then we need to be able to really grasp this idea of what it means to live a life as a living sacrifice to honor God. You see, God's love and care for you and me, it's constant. It never ends. Our circumstances are always changing. But the faithfulness of God is always right there. Hey, sweetheart, no, Echo. Calm down. It'll be okay. Our circumstances are never something we can gauge God's faithfulness by. But we always have the opportunity for worship, and that's really special. God's character and his wonder and love, that never changes. But everything around you and me is in constant flux. See, we can't gauge the circumstances and things around us to know whether we're secure in God or not. That comes from his word, his character. God is always faithful in his relationship with you and me. That never changes. Unlike our relationships with humans, which are some good, some bad, sometimes in the same day, several times. You see, that God's, and we tend to read that into God, but it's not. God is always faithful to us. And get this is important. God has the capacity and the covenant commitment to you and me to alter our circumstances so that you and I will stop living in response to circumstance. Living in response to circumstances is not a life of worship. It's a life of turmoil, a life of chaos. So each moment, each circumstance, each difficulty, each blessing that we have is a call to live in worship to God. It's a call to honor him. It's a call to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice to him. That's how each circumstance can be a stepping stone to a life of deeper appreciation, love, and worship of God, which is exactly what Romans 12 is calling us to. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. That is your true, reasonable worship. Some of the other translations say this is your true, reasonable service to God. It's amazing. It really is amazing. Seeing life as worship in this way, it'll bring peace and stability in the turmoil of life. Seriously. Because it's an opportunity for worship instead of discouragement. Offering our bodies as a living sacrifice. And because of Christ, it can be a holy and pleasing sacrifice to God. See, our lives, they're designed to be lives of worship. Life really is worship. That's how the stumbling and the mess and the circumstances can become stepping stones to strengthening our relationship with God, bringing honor to him, giving us peace in our walk. And, oh, there goes Echo. Got a chance to see her. And peace in our walk. And give us that opportunity to be not torn back and forth by all the emotional upheaval that's happening around us. Because we know that we're offering ourselves to our God in just a beautiful act of worship. See, there's nothing mundane. Everything is an opportunity to bring honor to God. And that is so cool. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Check me out at everydaytalk247.com. Tons of resources there for you. If you have to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and videos will come right to you. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow on February 2nd, Groundhog Day. You have a great evening. Bye-bye.